This is part 2 video tutorial for the visual ranking tool. I'm back in my teacher workspace. I've cleaned up my workspace just a little bit so that you can see just a few things in my workspace itself, especially the visual ranking projects that we're looking at. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is this Manage Image Library. That's going to come into play here in a little bit within this video tutorial, so pay attention. So I already have a couple of things in my visual ranking tool projects. Remember, you can create a new one or you can go and pull one in yourself. So let's take a look at this one here that I have. This is actually one that I pulled in from the website itself. As a teacher, I would probably change this a little bit. I would maybe use something like this if you were going to introduce this tool as a whole class even to your students so that they know how to interact within the tool. The way that you change it, of course, is just to go into each one of these and just edit the fields that are already in there. So basically, here's the premise of this. It's a Mother's Day project within a class. It's a fundraiser. You're trying to determine which flowers are going to be the best sellers for fundraisers. To make it a little fun, give your students a different role, or student groups rather, with a different role to generate this list to sort, as it's mentioned here. Now, more about this list to sort in just a minute. So the different roles that you could assign for this particular project are the role of the mother-in-law. What type of flower would the mother-in-law buy her daughter-in-law for Mother's Day? Wonder about that one. How about the husband? What type of flower would he pick? How about the teenager who's flat broke? They're going to buy flowers or get flowers from Mother's Day. How about the kindergartner? What flowers would they get? How about the florist who's in this to make money? What flower would they select? So the students are thinking of all of these things outside of the tool before they ever interact within the tool. They can generate their list as a group, coming to a consensus of no more than 14. I would really cut that number down to about 7 or 8 myself, of flowers that they would include. So as you can guess, their conversations and collaboration, and they can put this in a Word doc or Google Doc, whatever, somewhere where they're tracking it. Their group comes up with a list of flowers in no certain order. They're just brainstorming the list, and at the end of that exercise, all the groups are ready to share their list. Now, as a teacher, when you're creating this project in your workspace ahead of time, you can't leave this field blank, and you can only enter up to 14 items. So this is what I do. I just put some words in there. This is the list. I can leave this correlation when students are comparing lists checked on, so I'm not going to get rid of that, and I'm going to hit continue. Now, remember I said earlier in this tutorial about the area in your workspace for managing image library. That's where this comes into play. If you have some images that you want to put up with your list, you can put images into this visual ranking list. This should pop up to a window that allows you to put images in there. You can also put tags in there. You can look at the tags yourself. But as a teacher, I can take the list once it's generated by the students. Now this is the pretend list, the placeholder list. I can upload images here. So obviously, if you were going to put images with this, which is purely optional, you don't have to have images. It just depends on how visual you want this to be for your students. I like the big blocks of colors, and I think that's visual enough. And so this is just something that you can do to add to this tool. So let's say your students have all generated a list. Now what you're telling the groups is they're coming back together as a group, and you, the teacher, have your workspace opened. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that, go back to it so that I can open it again where I've got my editing on. Whoops, wrong list. Go back. So now, okay, this is obviously not the one I'm looking for, but it keeps clicking on it. I'm doing something wrong here. Ah, this one. There we go. So at this point, when you're ready for those groups to all share out their list, then you're going to start putting their list in here. So you go around and select a group at random. What did you have on your list? Well, we had roses, and then maybe somebody else says we have lilies. And someone else is thinking, I don't even know what lilies are, so oh, that was a good one. I should have thought of that one. Maybe they have the perspective of the kindergartner who would pick a dandelion. Maybe it's the teenager who would give artificial flowers. I think you have to hyphenate that to make that one line, and so on and so on. But you want to come up with a good number. Maybe it's the florist who says an orchid. That would be the one that I would pick. And maybe you would come up with the mother-in-law's perspective, dead roses or black roses. So you generate this list, and the group all just, right now, it is just a list. That's all. We're not ranking. So as the teacher then, I'm going to go here and continue. You would really have to decide whether it's worth your time at this point to put the images in there. If you don't want to add images, that's fine, as I say. You don't have to add images in there. I can just go down to the bottom and submit. And then you can add students to this. So I'm going to go back to my MSU1 and I'll put MSU2 in there. And I'm going to say add assign checked items or assign checked teams and click done. Okay. Now when the students go in, and you can see, here we go, I've got my two teams that are assigned. When the students go in then, that's when they start interacting in the tool. If I can go back to the beginning here to get myself back to the page I need to be to log in as a student, because remember, you're going to need to play around in this a little bit. I'll log in as MSU1. And I should have, as a student team, I should have that assigned. So you see all the work that's gone into this prior to the students getting into the actual tool. Now they're ready to do additional thinking in the tool. This is the list that the class came up with. Now, you're not going to pick, like I said, you can only pick 14. I wouldn't make the list that long in a case like this. I would keep that list a little more manageable to make them really think and hone in on the things that they really think are important. Now, as a collaborative team, we can all determine, well, based on what we know, because maybe we were the florist, we believe this was most important, but we also know that maybe roses are our #1 seller. I have someone in my family who knows that. I don't know why anybody would give a dandelion, but maybe I think that dead roses would be last. I'm not sure what lilies are, so I'm going to put them in the middle. As I'm thinking through this as a team, I can go over here and say, gosh, what does team #2 say? You know what, team #2, they're just right on with this one with us. And look, they put this one kind of in the middle and last too. Ooh, they put that one down here. I wonder why they put that one down here. Maybe we should change our answer. So they go back and take the correlation off and, yeah, guys, and you know why? Because and then they can have these discussions. You see where I'm going with this. The other value in this tool is this space right here. The first time they make a comment, they have to go to add a new comment. And as the teacher, you can say to them, give a summary of your thought processes as to why you rank the list in the order that you rank them. And they can add their comment and then update comments. As a teacher, you can go in on your teacher workspace side and you can see all of this. Now remember, your students need to save their work. So I'm going to save my work as a student. I've given my comments in there. If the students don't save their work, you will not see their work in your workspace. That's really, really important piece of this that you have to remember. This is video tutorial #2. I'll do one more video tutorial for this lesson.